Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Behind the Curtains with the Cinderella cast. I hope you all are having a happy holiday season so far. We'd love to see you. It's your chance to learn a little bit about what goes on at the live theater behind the stage and the curtains with your favorite cast members here. You can watch all of our past episodes, there were 4 of them, on our Facebook and YouTube channels. And please comment, ask the actors anything you want to know. We will be happy to answer them for you. It's much more fun when it's interactive with the audience. And please, if you like what you see here, support the arts at paypal.me/storybook396. It is a tax-deductible donation, especially during these holiday times. So let's bring on this Cinderella cast, starting with Miss Cinderella herself, Maggie Griffin-Smith.
Hi.
And her lovely love interest, Carl Smith, who played Prince Stefan.
Good morning.
Good morning. Then we've got the 3 lovely ladies, Marianne Bucci, who played the stepmother, Mrs. Finch.
Hello.
Emily Cheney, who played Zinnia.
Good morning.
Johanna Dunphy, who played Doris.
Hi.
And then, last but not least, Eleanor Thomas, who played the fairy godmother.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. There we go. Let's get a little closer. So, how is everybody? Everybody doing well?
Wonderful. I feel like we're the Brady Bunch right now.
Happy holidays to everybody. So, Eleanor, I'm going to talk to you first because you might have to go back to work, which is totally cool. She's here with us live today, folks, but she does have to make money. So let's talk to her first. So, Elle, you as the fairy godmother, I think that you probably have one of the easiest roles in this entire show, but it's very important. I'm not saying that it's not important because it's super important because you're magical and you and you make this whole thing happen. But I'd say it's one of the easiest roles, right? Because you're on for what? 5 minutes?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm saying it was one of the most difficult roles that I've ever had to portray. I had to be kind, I had to be generous, sweet. You know, that's difficult there. Oh my goodness.
Memories. Oh yes. As for those that are watching, don't know, this was a long time ago. 2014, 6 years ago now.
Yeah, 6 years ago.
I believe it's been that long.
Yeah, so we're trying to remember things from a long time ago. People, bear with us. So yes, but you had a lot of voiceover things that needed to go on. You were kind of like the mystical, magical voice to Cinderella during the entire show.
I was one of the few people that actually got a microphone for part of the show. I had a handheld mic backstage.
Yes.
And that was it.
Now, be truthful. Did you actually memorize any of those voiceovers?
All of them? Duh.
Hashtag professional.
I am a professional. Exactly. Thank you, Carl. I'm a professional actress. This is what I do. I never am forgetting my lines. I always remember all of them all the time. There you go.
Of course. Well, okay. I'll admit I had to go on for one show, I think. 1 show, 2 shows, whatever it was. I'm going to be truthful. I did not memorize those lines. I literally had the script in front of me and just said those lines. So
I think you're okay with that for the one day.
For the one day I had to go on.
But when you repeat them multiple times, whether you want to memorize them or not, you usually end up memorizing them. And I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I always end up memorizing everybody else's lines in a show. Yeah. Sometimes I remember other people's lines better than I remember my own.
True story.
On like a regular basis.
Now, with those lines, though, they kind of popped up really randomly. So was it hard for you to pay attention to the show sometimes, or were you very good and actually followed along to the show?
It's like a 40-minute show, so it's like not like I'm gonna be sitting there forever waiting. There may have been a few times that I was running to get to the microphone. I honestly don't remember. It's been 6 years, and this year has been 6 years in itself.
That's very true. Very, very true.
But what I do remember is the feeling of camaraderie our entire cast had. I mean, we just had a really great, tight cast. We had so much fun with each other. And when I had to leave the show for a day for where you went in for me, it was actually because my mother had been diagnosed with breast cancer and had surgery that day. And the love and support, oh my God, I'm going to get emotional again here in a second. But the love and support that the entire cast gave me, the text messages, the photos I received that day, just the we love you, we miss you. And when you sent me the picture of you in your dress, because I wore blue, she wore pink. I'm falling off. My tree's falling. Timber! It was a good group of people, and I'm glad. That's how I feel working for Storybook in general. I think there is always this feeling of family when you work for the Storybook Musical Theater Company. And it's because it is family run. So you feel like you become part of the Goldberg clan when you work for Storybook.
Very, very true. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, during your song, again, this was way back when I think it was one of our first couple years at Gratz. So we hadn't quite figured out everything there. I know during your song here, look, making a little wish. I don't know if you can notice because the banner's running. Hold on one second. Right there on the bottom of the floor was lots of confetti.
Oh my God, I forgot about the confetti.
Yes, I did too.
I forgot about the confetti.
I did
Oh
too
my gosh.
until I looked at the picture. And then I remembered that when we first were at Gratz, we weren't really allowed to use fog
Smoke.
machines.
Yeah.
Only during Wizard of Oz, I think, because that was special. But we weren't. So I just remember having to pop that confetti popper every time.
And it didn't always go on time either.
Now, do you remember, was it just for your entrance or was it for the pumpkin too?
It was the pumpkin too.
The pumpkin too?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay. So there was a lot of confetti that I did.
In all honesty, I had forgotten that pumpkin looked like that too. That picture you just showed.
Pumpkin. Okay, so let's talk about that pumpkin for a second. Spoiler alert for anybody out there that's watching and doesn't want to know about this. That pumpkin is literally only half of the set. It's literally that big. And it sat behind the curtain, like literally right behind the curtains, and had to get pushed out every single show. And I was so afraid that if I was going to do it, it was going to fall over and smack either Al or Maggie in the face. So I was like, I'm not doing this. Our other stagehand at the time, Jen, had to do it because I was like, I don't trust myself. So,
And there was like a giant X on the floor where she had to set the other pumpkin so that it would cover that, but also wouldn't get run over by.
So careful.
All I remember is that Maggie had to like carefully place it on the X and then run away.
Okay, I've done my job. Oh. Suddenly everything turned into Indiana Jones. She's like,
yes, exactly. That's how it felt.
But it was still very magical because there were lights all over the pumpkin and there was a spinning, flashing.
And there was confetti.
And there was confetti.
And the kids didn't know any different. And it was great.
No, in fact, they always were like, how did you just appear? And I'm like, didn't you see me? Like, it's not that big of an illusion. It's like,
they live in the illusion.
But it is. It is.
It is an illusion.
It's the misdirection of confetti.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I need confetti for every entrance in my life, actually. I think when I come to work, there should be confetti. I mean, I have tinsel.
Yes.
So I need confetti next.
Oh, no, right there.
As soon as you punch your time card, it's just.
Eleanor, Emily, and I know way too much about confetti for our lifetimes. So
yes.
And.
Yes.
Oh, and one of our favorite people in the world says, hello, Amy.
Oh, hey.
She says, confetti makes everything better.
Does it?
Okay.
Except for when it gets in your hair and in your clothing and in everything.
And when it still lives in your book bag 9 years after a job that you stopped working.
Yes. I just have to make a little observation, though, for a second. Maggie, you and I are kind of matching right now because your tree looks like it's growing right out of your head.
I feel left out. Should I shift?
There we go.
There we
Yes,
go.
it's a whole family thing.
There you go. All right, so let's move on to the trio, as I like to call it, Marianne, Emily, and Johanna. So I was talking a little bit before about this, Johanna, but you and I knew each other way back in the way back when, even before all of this, when we were years old. We did Germantown Academy Theater Camp together. And I think that was the first show that my sister and I did was Guys and Dolls. And you and her got to dance way more together than I did because I was a little younger than you two. But what made you decide to come out years later to Storybook and audition for us?
I think it was a few things. I think I knew a few people who had performed with the company. So I knew it was good to perform for the company. But also, I'm not a singer.
We're Storybook musical theater.
Yeah. And I basically auditioned just to scare myself.
Aw.
Because I'm like, I can hold a tune, but like, I do not consider myself a singer at all. And when I got the call from your dad, I was nannying 2 toddlers and I just buckled them in. I just sat down in the car. I listened to the voicemail and I put the phone down and I remember looking around the car and I asked the toddlers, I'm like, am I hallucinating? And because it made no sense to me why I would be cast in a musical. And yeah, so that is why I came out. And that is the story of me getting into Cinderella.
Hey,
You were great.
And you were awesome. I always remember you saying you're not a singer. And I was like, I wonder if she knows that she actually is.
Well, I'm
Secret
also
singer.
Well, I'm also a puppeteer,
right.
so like I'm used to singing as puppets, as like super character voices. And I was told all through grad school, like, cut that out. You're not, like, basically being told you're not a singer. And yeah, and so like I just got so used to these really heavy character voices that just singing as a person, not my thing. Luckily, Doris got to have some fun, so it was fine.
Oh God!
Speaking of that,
Oh my God, so precious.
Is that before the pipe cleaners? That might have been before the pipe cleaners.
no, that's Doris. You just can't see it because of the thing.
The
Here,
feather.
I was to say there's all
There
the
you go.
feathers there.
Oh my gosh! And my hair was actually in a bow that day.
Yes, it was
Chocolate.
So yeah, speaking of the chocolate box, Emily,
Oh, the
the
chocolate.
chocolate box.
Ugh.
Emily,
God.
what did you actually have to eat in that chocolate box?
I ate all that chocolate, and no, it wasn't chocolate. It was pumpernickel bread, and some days
Yes.
it would be like 3 days old. And you'd be like, and it'd be like, and you were like,
Cinderella, would you like some chocolate?
Do you want some chocolate, Cinderella? And she was like, no. I think you said yes, and we had to eat it all. That was the whole thing, so that there was none left. And every day there'd be like one more, and I was like,
But I had to make sure I got all the wrappers.
Mhm.
yes.
Kind of, it was bread, but they still had little chocolate wrappers.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had to make sure that they were all gathered and like jam them in so they wouldn't fly away when we had to rush it off stage.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it would be terrible if those wrappers ended up on the floor with all the confetti.
Confetti.
I cleaned it up after Act 1. Okay.
See, but the only other show that I've done with Storybook is Hansel and we had real cookies for that.
We did. Hansel and Gretel is
Fine, get the real
Pepperidge Farm cookies.
Not the
Pepperidge
case
Farm.
for Beauty
Alien
and the Beast.
says, try pumpernickel, as a previous Zinnia knows. Yes. And Carl knows
all purpose.
just as well, too. Oh, our friend Della Diamond says, hi, friends.
Hi.
Hi, Della. Thanks for joining us again. So anyway, yes. So as the villains of the show, you three actually had, I think, the most fun of the show.
I don't know. It was pretty extreme. We all had a lot of fun.
Well, it's true, but you guys got to be the comic reliefs to everybody else. Can we discuss you discussed a little bit, but can you discuss your hair and makeup a little bit? Let's take a closer look at this picture again.
Oh, I'm so glad you can't get any closer.
Why do I remember rollers in the dressing room? Who had their hair
That was
in curlers?
in the what's the other song? The Don't Walk Like a Trudging. That
Yes. We had head shower caps on.
Yeah.
Yes.
And at one
Okay.
point I had a toilet paper roll to try and keep my hair
Yes.
up, and I wrapped everything around the toilet paper roll.
If I can actually see. Oh, okay.
Timber. Okay, I'm gonna give up on that.
So yes, talk to us about your evolution of your hair and makeup.
I mean, I think it started really tame and normal-ish. And I think Emily and I just started one-upping each other.
I'd like to think that our inspiration was like 80s version Malibu Barbie.
Yeah, that's
And we just kept being like, oh yeah, I can be Skipper too. And just kept spiking them higher.
Yeah, I remember you coming up with the idea of, you're like, I'm gonna make my hair into a bow. And I was like, oh, are you? I'm gonna get pipe cleaners. And do something like that.
Looking at your hair and seeing what different creation you had that day. So
I don't understand. We're completely professionals in this group. We always do exactly what the costume designer told us to do with our hair and makeup every day. Exactly the same.
Now, in fairness, our lovely costume designer was sort of like, oh yeah,
Totally.
do you?
I was gonna say,
Kim,
yeah, I guarantee Kim said, "Y'all go wild."
Yeah. And
Go
that
with the
actually might
magic.
have been the word. It might have been, yeah, just go wild, knock yourself out. And we were like, challenge accepted.
Yep.
All right. So I want to show a little clip of Zinnia and Doris and Mrs. Finch being their lovely selves. So please enjoy.
I'm always charming. Prince Stefan, you are charmed to meet me.
And your manners must be impeccable.
Impossible.
No, not impossible, impeccable. Impeccable. What? Perfect.
Mother, I know I'm perfect.
No.
No, I'm not perfect.
Your manners must be perfect.
Oh. Prince Stefan, it is an honor for you to have us here.
You must always walk with dignity and grace.
Who's dignity? Who's grace?
You must always walk and talk and act like princesses. Now, let me see you walk.
Cinderella, how do I look?
As pretty as a flower in bloom, Zinnia.
Isn't this gown divine, Cinderella?
Yes, Doris, you'll be the belle of the ball.
No, I will. I will win the hand of Prince Stefan in marriage.
You can have his hand.
I'm going to marry all of him.
Oh, the memories.
Those dresses were epic.
It was epic. I had a bird in my hair,
You
lady.
did.
I had a bird in my hair almost the entire show.
Mrs. Finch has to have her Finch.
Yes, I had to have my finch.
So Della says
Sense.
that this is her favorite show, and that Storybook needs to do Cinderella again. It's true. I've been trying to get them to do it for a while. Someone's complaining about the sets, but we won't name who.
I have no idea.
You're practically perfect in every way,
Aw.
and Johanna is divine. It's true.
Yeah.
You all are beautiful. Love you guys.
You ladies really came to my aid that year because that was a really bad year for me.
Yes,
And
it
if I hadn't had you. I don't know.
we love you, Marion.
Family. We are family.
Yes. So I know that you, Marianne, you've had many children through the many years of Cinderella.
I was gonna say,
She actually has many children.
No, through
She
Cinderella.
birthed us all.
Would you say that Johanna?
Never mind.
What are your favorite memories, if you can remember from 6 years ago, of Johanna and Emily being your, and of course Maggie is your stepchild as well.
Everything was just wonderful. I mean, we made such a great cast, and I've been in a lot of storybook shows over the years, and every cast is great, but this one meant a lot to me. We were very, very close. I don't know. It was just, I just loved every morning coming in and not knowing what Johanna and Emily were going to do, because that was like really fun. And Maggie was so sweet. It was always so nice to be there with her. And Carl, absolutely. I loved you as the prince. You were
and Jeff.
Oh yes, we can't say Jeff Ream can't be here. He's also making money today, but he played our lovely king, so we miss him. Hello, Jeff.
Yeah.
Dad.
Daddy, I miss you, Daddy.
Our lovely director said Cinderella will be done soon if we can figure out a few things and we get past the pandemic. So keep your hopes up.
When we figure out a few things and get past the pandemic.
Yes, thank you.
We'll get there. Wear your mask.
Wear your mask. Yes.
We will. We will.
Please.
So, okay, I can't go on without talking to our main characters here. Hello, Maggie.
Hi.
Hi. So you got to play, I guess, one of children's favorite princesses, Cinderella. So I know this version is a little bit different, but how did knowing that this is one of children's favorite princesses kind of shape your character choices, or did it at all?
Well, it did, because there's a certain responsibility that comes with it to be not only what they expect, but to give life to something that they probably haven't seen in person. Mm-hmm. Cinderella isn't often done, actually. It's not super overdone. Some of the really big theaters, big budget places do it, but I've done a couple different Cinderellas, and I think for me, it just, being the straight man is what, Cinderella is. She needs to take everything seriously, and it was really, I like doing princesses. I never thought I would, but I love doing princesses because you get to be just in awe of everything and just genuinely be like, wow. And it's so nice to not be like, there's no cynical bone in her body. She is just, gee, wow, about things genuinely. And that's actually really fun to do sometimes, to just have that wholesome, and I think
childlike almost.
It is. Yeah. And the way that this one is written, the sisters, they're a little nasty to her, but it doesn't always seem intentional. They're kind of just like bozos, and as opposed to real bullies. Mm. And so that's fun, because I feel like Cinderella's like, I can't tell them they're kind of dumb, but kind of, it was almost like she didn't fit in, as opposed to they're really mean, Yeah. And she
show a quick photo. Look at you, dreaming.
But it's more, for me, this version of Cinderella is she's finding a place to fit in, as opposed to escaping real, I don't know, like the really nasty stuff that, like even the cartoon makes them like mean. And the music in this one too is lovely. And I know my daughter, she used to sing it. Like the I Can Dream stuff. It's just the message behind it is really just like, if you don't fit in, you can find a place to fit in. Mm-hmm. Which I loved as a message. And so I tried to really push that in the character, as opposed to that she's bullied, but more that, gosh, these people don't get me. And instead of giving up, like, there's got to be somebody who gets me.
Speaking of your song, now this was before, again, early on in our Gratz run, before we actually had a microphone set up there. So we're going to hear a little clip of Maggie being awesome and belting her face off during her little I Can Dream song.
Well, they tell me all my dreams are just a fantasy. There is something deep within my own reality, and it's not for them to tell me what it is or what it isn't. If only they would listen. I can dream, I can dream, I can dream that I am beautiful and someone cares for me. Let me dream the way I feel. dreams can make it real. I have everything as long as I can dream. I'm here immediately. Cinderella! Coming. I have everything as long as I can dream.
Oh, I love it.
I forgot how pretty that is.
Yes.
That was like tech run because Maggie lost her voice throughout the rehearsal process.
Yeah, I got really
remember
sick.
that.
I remember the first
That
time
was
we heard
good.
it was like full costume tech run, and I was like, that sounds really good.
I got so sick. I don't even, it was just one of those colds,
Mhm.
you know, like the
Mhm.
whole sinus, everything. I was like, well, I gotta pull it out somewhere. I gotta find something. But yeah, that was tough because I remember doing rehearsal, like I was so tired, just like that deep, and Carl would be like, you gotta get it out. Get it out. Don't swallow anything. Get it out. And I
Don't
remember
swallow
that
it.
to this day. If I ever get sick, I hear Carl's voice like, get it out of your system.
Della says, what a beautiful message and melody to carry the lyrics.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, so this can be for everybody. How do you keep your voice in good quality, especially if you're doing like a long run, or especially during this time of season when it's, you know, cold and flu season? We won't even talk about the pandemic. But how do you kind of keep your vocal cords healthy during this time? If anybody wants to chime in on this.
Steam. I love steam.
Yes, steam is good.
I love
Willpower.
Rest. Rest. When you're not performing, try not to talk too much. Definitely no whispering, because whispering's worse for your vocal cords. I like ginger. Lots of ginger.
I also generally have changed my speaking voice over time. So I used to have a lot deeper voice, and then over training time and learning what works and doesn't work, I've learned that if I just pitch my speaking voice a little higher, my singing voice, the longevity is much better. So that's just that's like
100%. Yeah, because it also depends on where your voice sits, like to sing. So if you're a soprano, you're going to want to pitch your speaking voice higher because that's where your singing voice is. So you kind of have to speak where your singing voice is located.
Right. I also make it a habit to warm up every morning, which is like not something we do regularly. We just like go straight into the day. And if my voice is ever killing me, I make it a habit to kind of do some noodling.
Yeah.
Like right out of bed.
I usually sing the songs in my car on the way to rehearsal, on the way to the show, just to get everything warmed up. You have to keep hydrated. That's one thing that I realized that, and you can't like take a gulp of water and then go on stage because that doesn't work.
That dries you out.
I've been doing.
It takes a full 24 hours to hydrate.
Right. So I've been doing voiceover classes because that's someplace to go. And that's one of the things that they really hit home with. Take little sips. Make sure that you're hydrated because you might not hear it, but other people can hear it. The raspiness if you're not, if you're dry and everything. So that's important. Lozenges. God, how many lozenges did we have in that dressing room meeting?
All the time.
Pineapple juice.
Fisherman's Friend.
Oh, yeah.
Fisherman's Friend.
They work. They work.
Yes, they do. They taste like licorice, though.
Yeah.
That's
what are you going to do?
But pineapple juice, because it contains bromelain, which is an enzyme that helps. It's an anti-inflammatory enzyme. It's actually why you can't cook or you can't make Jell-O with pineapple in it because it breaks down protein. And it comes in fresh pineapple. So pineapple juice and bromelain, there's something that I use personally a lot when I'm singing to keep the inflammation down. It was my voice teacher who recommended it to me, and it's now always in my kit.
There you go.
Potato chips.
The more you know.
Well, hey, Rachel, do you remember back when Kevin, God bless him, he had some concoction that it was apple cider vinegar, honey, and some hot something or other. It was like really
like cayenne or something.
Yeah, something like that. It was just really disgusting, but it worked. I remember having some of that.
I was
heard
way too
that
young for that.
before. Yeah, somebody else uses that, and I can't think of who, but that's been recommended a couple times as
Yeah.
you know.
I really like throat coat tea. That is my favorite.
More
Yeah.
Well,
licorice. Ew.
any hot
And a hot
liquid,
beverage, yes.
like first thing in the morning, that's one of the things that for when I get really bad allergies, the first thing I do is I start drinking. The first thing I drink is I actually have a Keurig, and I'll brew it without anything in the chamber, so that it just brews hot water over locally grown honey, and drink that. That's the first thing I drink, and it like really the honey and which I learned from Mark Cairns. Honey has antibacterial properties.
Yep.
It was at a Storybook Quizzo.
Well, and also you get the steam from the hot tea.
Right,
So it goes
the
back
steam
to Maggie
from
and steaming.
Just so you know,
Thankfully,
Marianne, Faith has the recipe for
Oh.
Kevin's concoction. If you
Oh,
want it.
Interesting.
Our lovely actress Faith Sherman, if you ever want it.
Everything Kevin can, I'm sure that
She has, yes.
Yeah.
So moving on from this, Maggie, was this the show right before you did Into the Woods at Eagle, where you then had to play wife to Jeffrey?
was it before?
Or was it
I think it was right after.
I think it was right after, because Into the Woods was the fall of 2014.
Okay.
So I had done.
And this was the Christmas season.
Yes.
Because I had done Little Red in like May or something.
Yeah.
And then this was the second one. And yeah, so it was right after, while we were doing Into the Woods, we realized we were both in Cinderella. I forget how. One of us might have mentioned it offhand of like, oh, next I do this, whatever. And we were like, so it was pretty funny that we went from Baker's wife, and like we're like on stage fighting about whether or not we're gonna have a baby, or what do we do to get the hair as gold as whatever.
Yeah.
And then we get on stage and I'm like, oh, I hope your dad likes me. And I'm and it was funny to see him change so much, because he changed from really, like, we did a lot of pretty heavy duty acting in Into the Woods and serious with each other. And then to see him with his crown and him, I am so proud today of my son. Like, it was such a switch. It was so cute. And I hadn't realized that he wrote so much for Storybook. At that point, I was new to the group relatively, and I hadn't realized that he is the jack of all trades. The lighting, the set design, the music. And then I go see was it the Frog Prince? I took Fiona to, and he's playing.
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like I had about 2 years of just learning all Jeff could do, because he's so great. He's so humble. You never know he can do all these things. So it was really fun to already have a relationship with someone in the cast, because I was also relatively new to Philly. So it was nice to know him going into it. But that was a real pleasure, because he keeps surprising me. I bet you he comes out of quarantine knowing a million new things.
Yeah, actually, I'll bet you money you're right.
All right, I'm going to cut us off here for a second. Eleanor has to leave because she has to go back to work. So let's all say bye-bye to Eleanor.
Can I exit for you? Bye.
Watch out for confetti.
Yes. Thank you for coming. We love you. See you soon.
I love you all. Thank you for having me. And let's get this Cinderella going again.
Yes. You got to come back from Connecticut, Johanna.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we need those braids and the pipe cleaners.
And the rest of you.
I love you all. Happy holidays to everyone, and happy Hanukkah to those who are celebrating. Merry Christmas to those that are going to be celebrating that soon. Christmas, Kwanzaa, Kadan, all of the things.
There you go.
Bye. So we got a little message from one of our first Cinderellas all the way back in 93, Eileen Ward. She says, good to see all of you. I was in Cinderella back in 93. And I believe Marianne was also in Sleeping Beauty with me. Oof.
Yep.
Yes. And she also worked with Jeff in Aladdin. Yes. Memory is a long time ago. And of course, Jeff is a gem to Storybook. Yes.
Jeff's a gem to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also hard at work at writing the music to our new world premiere of Little Mermaid whenever that happens.
Yeah.
So we will be back and running and having a world premiere of Little Mermaid. So Carl, we haven't talked to you yet. Hello, Carl.
I've been interjecting.
You've been interjecting. Look at you. Look how cute you
How
are.
handsome.
How handsome.
Yeah.
No makeup stays on your shirt there.
No.
No, it's.
Not yet.
So again, this was your first show with Storybook, and you've been in many, many, many since. Do you remember the audition day at all? And a little statement my dad happened to make when you walked into the room.
I don't remember all the statements that were made during the day. I do remember well, what your mom said is the reason I got the audition is because I took a line and I went, oh, okay, that must be the joke that's inherent here. And I said it, and your dad laughed and went, wow, he's actually funny. And that was the one thing I do remember your dad saying.
No, the one that I remember, well, I wasn't in there because I was in the audition room process, but apparently you walked into the room and he goes, oh, there's our prince, with all the other auditionees that are still sitting there, and Aileen just goes, Dad, you can't say that.
I don't even know that I heard it.
So
I was very nervous.
Oh,
because I was auditioning for Pinocchio was the same season.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure if I was going to be seen more as a prince or if I was going to be seen more as a villain. And so I was like, I was coming in, I was like, I don't know how they're going to go with this. And so I came in prepared for both the prince and what's his name? Patrizzi.
Patrizzi, yes.
Patrizzi the sleazy. And so, yeah.
So is this also your first time working with Maggie as well?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, this is where I met Maggie.
Yes, you two have such a great chemistry together. So it was very nice that you two, well, also you just need to be good friends when you're, having to be love interest with someone. So it just worked so well that you two just happened to click really well together.
Yeah.
Well, Maggie's pretty easy to click with.
She's a riot. We had the same temperament about the process and about what we need to take seriously and do our jobs, and where there's room for fun. We just really had the same, I feel like, work ethic / sense of humor. It was such a riot. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So do you remember, was this also your first time meeting Jeff as well?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Do you remember your story about his name that you told us?
Oh yeah. So funny story. We were because we were sharing a dressing room, and we were just kind of actually we were just probably sitting around playing 2048. It's a phone game that he introduced me to, that I became mildly obsessed with over the next 3 years. But we were sitting around and listening to the pre-show music, mm-hmm. and just kind of having discussions about the music. And he kind of casually brought up that one of them was his. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, what do you mean? Is this one of the roles you played? He said, no, that's some of the music I wrote. I said, oh, you write music? I said, oh, I said, do you write the lyrics too? He was like, yeah. And I said, oh, that's cool. That pretty fitting last name then. And he was like, yeah, sure. And because I thought his name was pronounced R-E-I-M in the German, which is rhyme, which I thought was a really fitting name for a lyricist.
Yeah.
So then, I don't know, a couple months later when I was in Frog Prince, I was singing some of the music, and I was like, this passage. Who wrote this? Because he was there with us. And I was like, who wrote this? Who's this Jeff Rhyme character? And he goes, I don't know, Carl Smythe. Who is that? And I was like, what? And so I had this moment where I talked to him about it. I said, so when I said it was a fitting name, what did you think I meant? And he was like, I had no idea. I didn't understand that comment at all. And I was like, yeah, you think I go through a lot of paper when I write lyrics?
Oh, Jeff. So
That's awesome.
again, with you being the prince, you're kind of also the straight man character in this show with Cinderella, because your father, the king, also had a lot of dad jokes in this show, as my mother likes to write a lot of them. And my favorite one being, "Look, father, a shoe," and he goes, "Bless you."
I love that.
Love that one.
Yeah, look, this role gave me a lot of the fodder that I use to this day.
Very, very true. But which one? I know that you've played a lot of both kind of the comedic roles and the straight man roles. So which one do you kind of prefer doing?
Oh, they're both good in their own way. They're, it's nice to do both. It's always lovely to be the person that people are, the person who gets to deliver the punchlines is like, it's always lovely to be the one who has the line that precedes a laugh. But it's also lovely to, well, for me, I'm terrible at staying in character and not breaking up when I know a joke is coming. As Maggie knows very, very well. But it's also nice to be able to be that person who like holds a straight face, sets up the joke, and then lets the other shoe drop right on top of them. They're both really, really fun in their own way and very fulfilling.
Now, I think one of my favorite parts of Cinderella is right as you two are singing your reprises together. Patricia put the directions so perfectly, where Prince Stefan's outside of the doorway singing his reprise, and Cinderella is inside the house, and they're about 2 feet away, and there's supposed to be like an invisible wall between them. But as the audience member, you know that they're supposed to be together and that they are so close to each other and so close to meeting, and you just want them to just reach out to each other and greet them. I think that's one of my favorite moments in the entire show. Did you guys kind of get that feeling while you were singing that as well? That so close yet so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the beauty of Cinderella, is that like, it's almost like Maggie said earlier, that, like everybody kind of has a place. And when you find yourself out of place, you have two choices. You can continue to go forward and look for your place and act with dignity in the meantime, or you can give up and act horrible and, be bitter about the fact that you don't feel, comfortable or whatever. And I think that the Cinderella character chooses the former, and that makes all the difference, the path less traveled.
Beautifully said. All right, let's go into the ballroom scene. Now, I think the ballroom scene is one of the toughest scenes in this entire show, not just because everybody is on stage, but the first song, Waltzing in the Ballroom, has some intricate harmony lines that you guys had to figure out. Let's look at a little clip of this, shall we?
You are impressed by my... Would you like me to dip you?
Don't bother, dip my father.
Yes, your father will just love it when you're hit.
Will he marry her? Will he marry Maurice? A marriage ends quickly, which quickly begins.
I see Doris with a lump set of twins.
No. 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 Oh, no.
I forgot about the patch.
Yes.
No, in my script that I have here, I turned to a page and it said "rip off epaulette," and I couldn't remember what that meant. Now I know.
I remember. So how long did you guys take to get all the no no's?
That did take a little bit.
Yes, I think
The timing of it was really very, very important, that you didn't jump in where you weren't supposed to be. So,
Now, Carl, you had to deal with a lot during that song. Not only did you have Johanna hugging, we'll call it hugging you throughout the entire thing, but Emily also got to stomp on your feet during that as well.
Yeah.
I'm very proud that I don't think I ever actually got his feet, though.
No.
To mention.
I was gonna say, like, Carl really didn't have to deal with much. It was they were lovely, and they, you know, but and again, part of my role was less to be, wounded or affected, and more to sell whatever they were doing. The fact that Johanna's not squeezing me, but I have to make the audience think that she is. It's not up to her. Johanna wouldn't hurt me even if she did squeeze me. She's too kind. She would never, ever. But I have to, sell that.
Yeah.
I sort of feel like the ballroom scene was another one where frequently Johanna and I would be like, Carl, we're going to try this. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. And Carl would be like, awesome. And he would be like so game for whatever we were throwing out. And you're right, Carl. Like he would sell it. And I can remember a few times Pat would come afterwards and be like, don't hurt him. And I was like, I don't think I did. Did I hurt you? And he's like, nah, it was great. We go, oh, thank God. But yeah, we hammed that up a lot too.
Equity, actor, motivation.
Hey.
Yeah, equity.
I remember really clearly how much fun Emily and I had getting rejected every night or every show. Because each time, that's sort of the fun thing about being a comedic villain. Is being able to really experience these crazy intense emotions. And I mean, I don't remember being told to pull back at any point.
You never
we never got that note.
Yeah.
And so every show, I just remember the bigger and bigger feelings of rejection and how I could just let them pour out in whatever way they came to be. That was so much fun.
I remember trying to put Emily back in that dress when it split.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, please tell that story.
How do we back up so that she can get up there and do her thing and the dress doesn't fall off? That was interesting.
It was weird because the dress was one piece, but there were multiple clasps on it.
Yeah.
And I loved that dress too. It was so much fun. But the bustle portion, there were like little tiny snaps or something on them. And when I was dancing with Carl, I think one night, and after he rejected me, I plopped down and like popped the whole back of the dress open and was like,
oh yeah.
And kind of like bounced over to Marianne, like, help me. Like, and she was like, oh, and like kind of put me back together while Doris was getting rejected. But I was like, I'm going to be naked. Help me. It literally just will fall off.
I remember you made a bit out of that. You were like, Mom. And then I fixed it for you.
I think I was like, oh, and I kept my hands up because I was afraid it would fall off. And she was like, what are you doing? Oh, and thankfully she was a very skilled mother and put me back together appropriately.
One of my favorite things was the fan. Off to the ball. I love doing that. Oh my God, I love doing that.
Yeah,
we did have a lot of fanography.
Yeah,
that was so much fun. Really fun.
And then we danced with the fans. Oh my God, the fans were a bit. I remember like whacking each other with the fans and being like, we're going to need backup fans.
I think we broke a couple.
Probably. I think I remember that too. You remember we broke a couple of fans. Now this was also, I think, a tough scene because it's so high energy, but at the same time you couldn't really rush your lines at all because this is the big change for Cinderella, especially if there is no intermission. So it's one of those like high energy, but still you got to play it,
Yeah, my countdown scene. I would hear and be like, okay, I got to get the dirt off. I would do like all the necessities first. And if for some reason it went too fast or something took too long to get on, I would have some things like gloves that I would be like, if I don't get the gloves on, no one's going to care, but Carl. But that I would always listen. And so they were so consistent that I was always really typically fine, except for when we didn't have intermission. And then Eleonora would be my guardian angel and true fairy godmother because she would help me so much to get that whole change done. I mean, on the one hand, I'm glad I didn't have to learn that song because it was complex. But on the other hand, it was still, I didn't get to sit down,
Right.
you know, and relax.
Yeah.
But I remember like sometimes it would be a close call. Whew, and I'd be like, no gloves, sorry, no gloves.
The costume changes into the ball gowns. That was
Yes.
the way we had everything laid out, and everybody was okay. Use it, you. Use it, you. Use it, you.
And that was during Maggie's I Can Dream number, so she had to make sure.
Right. That was a lot of fun. Sticking on the dress, sticking the thing in the head, getting the jewelry right. It was.
Oh yeah, the jewelry. I remember
Now, for anybody, have any of you missed an entrance for a costume change?
Yes.
Carl.
Scarecrow.
Yes. But that was during tech, right? That wasn't during.
Yes. That was the only it was only during tech.
Only.
By the show, we had it figured out.
Yes.
I had the help I needed.
Anybody else miss an entrance?
I don't think I missed a costume change in this. I have in other shows, but
Yeah, in life. Yeah.
Yes, in life. Any fun ones that you want to talk about?
Well, actually, because Rachel, you brought up our Germantown Academy camp experience.
Yes.
When we did Wizard of Oz, I was the Scarecrow, and when we had to change back into being the farmhand, for whatever reason, like makeup wasn't coming off fast enough. I ended up like buttoning my pants as I jumped onto stage, like still trying to cover my bits as like an 11-year-old or something.
Cover your bits, of course.
Yeah.
Cover bits.
Good.
Yeah.
Now,
Years ago, I did a production of Christmas Carol, and similar, actually, not unlike this dress, there was like a big, heavy velour skirt, and again, I was doing something very enthusiastically, and the skirt popped, and it was a big, heavy skirt, and I wasn't wearing a hoop under it, and it went to drop, and I literally did the whole like scene with my hand like holding it on my hip, and I just kind of made it like, oh, now I'm Mrs. Potts. Oh well, we're just gonna do this. And it was like as I was walking on that it popped, and by the time I came off stage, everyone was like, what's going on? I'm like, my skirt's not done, and they were like, ah, you know, and they put me back together. But yeah, it's fun.
That happened in Cinderella when I came out and the back for some reason was catching and I didn't get the zipper up. Carl and I were dancing and I was like, the dress is open.
I think that also happened in Beauty and the Beast many times as well.
Yeah, and I was like, don't turn me around. It's open.
Oh, the dress is speaking of the dress. Look at you.
Yeah, I actually loved in this show that the dress reveal didn't happen with the fairy godmother. That it was like, oh, and you have a dress, magic, but we don't get to see you in it until you show up at the ball, and we have this like strong upstage entrance. All eyes go to the dress. You're in a full-on gown, sometimes gloves and a tiara.
And a tiara. Yeah.
So yeah, for those of you who notice, it is white. It is not a blue dress like Disney. It is pretty and white.
But I mean, the makeup change off, the lipstick on, the hair up. I was just on a wing and a prayer for that one.
So you two, while dancing, do you want to talk about your giggly moments?
Those weren't limited to while we were dancing.
No,
they weren't. I mean, it's when we didn't have mics and there was a whole thing going on that we weren't even the focus at that point. Like we were dancing and then there was a conversation happening. So especially when the conversation was happening, I mean, sometimes I would do my best and I would just smile up at Carl, like, please have mercy on me today. He is good. He's so good with the jokes. Or if there's a kid that randomly is like, Mom, I want pee, he'd be like, oh. He would like randomly, he did not miss anything. Nothing flies by Carl. He notices everything. He sees everything. And so he would just, he would always get me. I would try so hard But he was really good. He would make himself laugh.
I was gonna say, I think the thing that made Maggie laugh the most is that I would do something and I would just start chuckling,
You would go,
and she couldn't help but laugh at me laughing at my own dumb joke. Like,
yeah,
you know,
because he would do the joke and then go, ha, ha, ha. Like, I can't. He was so enjoying it that I was enjoying him. It was really funny. And when we had to learn different dances, because we had to learn the Beauty and the Beast dance too, and it would always be
while
funny
whistling.
But we would learn. But we would learn a dance in rehearsal, and then when we got our costumes on, it would inevitably
different. Yeah,
costumes would change how we thought we had moved before. And especially with like the big poofy dress, or we have to now stand a little bit apart for this part, or but it was also though, like, we learn the show so quickly. Every time we do a storybook show, we're learning it quickly, and you have to depend on us to really get it together. And there would be moments in tech or like the first performance where we'd be like, this happens now, right? And I definitely learned like our faces to each other of like, I'm not going to say the right line, so just go with it. Like, we would have those faces of like, you're going to have to do something here.
And that's the line you're getting today.
Yep. And that is what I said. And that's how we just said things sometimes. And we'd be like, okie dokie. So it was really cool that Carl was never like, huh? What? I can't. What? He really understood whenever we needed to change something up. We all did, I think. I think every time, even backstage, someone would be like, it's not getting on. Okay, we'll go without it. Everybody was really like quick and on the ball.
Yes. Now, Maggie, how did you slip off your slipper every day? What was your method to getting that shoe off your foot? Because it has to stay on during your dancing and everything else, but there has to be some sort of method to getting it off.
I would loosen it as I was exiting. So I wouldn't let it, I would put it on and like fully dance in it so I wasn't wobbly. But then as I was getting ready to be like, oh no, at that same time that I was like stammering verbally, I would kind of slip my heel out a little. And then as I ran away, I would do like a flick, like one of those dramatic, like, I'm running now. And it would kind of pop off. So I never had to really like shake it off because I thought that would look absurd. But I would just, the dress was long enough that I could sneakily like wiggle my heel out and then let it kind of drop by the stairs.
Yes.
Because it had to drop in a spot to get it. And that was, so really that happened. I would prep my foot like almost 3/4 out of the shoe while we were talking.
That makes sense. Now, Carl, was this, you got to sing a reprise to this lovely shoe in your hand. Is this the weirdest thing that you've ever had to sing to in a show?
No, not at all. Not at all. Oh, I've had some weird
I won't go into
moments.
it, but we won't go into that. Now, speaking,
Look.
so speaking of that shoe, let's show a little clip of Emily trying on this shoe. Now, Emily was lucky enough that her foot is way bigger than Maggie's already, so that she didn't have to worry about fitting into that shoe.
Nope.
I'm sure the shoe will fit. Just push a little harder. It doesn't fit. Give me the shoe. I'll put it on my foot.
No,
Yes,
no, you are not the one. No, don't raise your next ear.
A brain attacks my face.
Now, Johanna, you don't get out of this either. Your foot was pretty big as well.
Yep.
Little rehearsal video there. So it was nice that we didn't really have to fake the shoe doesn't fit.
I sort of think that was in like the audition process. They were like,
let me see your
what
feet.
shoes do you wear? And I was like really big, and they're like, perfect. And I was like, good.
I just have very small feet.
Which worked out perfectly because I have Sasquatch feet. It was excellent.
Now, Sarah asks, you're all storybook veterans. Do you have a favorite show or song from all of our storybook adventures? I know, Marianne's like, I've done so many.
Oh, it's hard. I mean, back when I was doing the mom in Rapunzel, the Radish song.
I love the Radish song.
I love that song. It was so much fun to sing that.
Have to rhyme with radish?
Yeah. Radish, orange. Oh my gosh. But I'd have to say the music, all of the music is wonderful. I mean, but the ones that I got to really be bigger than life in, like the Cook Yourself a Prince. Oh my God. I absolutely love that song. It's so much fun. Also in Sleeping Beauty. Trust Me. That's a good one.
Princess and the Pea. Yes.
All the ones that I get to be bigger than life and, just really take off with. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The music's always great. It's just always great.
Anybody else?
I love the Little Red music.
Yeah.
It's so fun. And like the prayer with the 3 spotlights was always so just a really nice moment for live theater for kids. It wasn't just dancing around and being silly. It was like a really sweet moment. But the Little Red music was always really fun to do. Like super complex as far as like the movement went, with the tango or with the song with all the props when she's about to leave the house. Like, but the Little Red music was really fun.
My favorite show to do is Frog Prince. In terms of favorite musicals or favorite for musical moments, songs, I don't think I could pick one. I could probably like narrow it down to 7.
Yeah. Wizard music is amazing.
Yeah. The little barbershop-y situation.
Yes.
I love Bravery. That's one of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Emily, do you have a favorite storybook?
I was going to say, like Carl said, there are moments where I'm like, oh, I loved this moment. And musically, this moment was so fantastic. Actually, one of them is in Cinderella, that no, like when that was on, it was so pretty. And like, you could feel the kids all be like,
ooh,
something's going down. He's not picking her, but something's going down. But Jeff's music is all really pretty. Adventures in Toyland, like the music in that is just so... It's fun, and then like the harmonies are just so gorgeous.
Perfect. All right, Emily, speaking of music, would you like to give us a preview? Oh, yes. Next Friday, Storybook is doing a lovely fundraiser cabaret called Home for the Holidays, where some of us are going to be singing into it. It is a suggested donation of $15, and we'll give you a link to our YouTube page.
Pay no attention to that.
Pay no attention to the dog. Of course, right when you're about to sing, you're going to have a dog.
Why wouldn't that be the situation?
But Emily, would you like to give us a little preview if your dog will allow it?
I would love to. In fact, Suki, sit down. She's like, no, I want to sing. This is my moment.
In the window. There you go.
It's obviously all about me, Mom.
I'm just glad nobody's heard Anastasia screaming in the background.
No, we haven't heard it.
But I hear her.
I was going to say she's singing along. So this is not really a Christmas song, but it's a song I love, and it seemed like it was very appropriate for the circumstances right now. And I know I like to be reminded of happy things frequently. So this is my favorite things from The Sound of Music. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Cream-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, Snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into springs. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Cream-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into springs. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. The funny thing is you couldn't hear that my dog was singing in the other room.
Nope, we couldn't hear
I'm
it.
sure it's commentary on my singing. She's going,
So yes, if you want to get a ticket to the Home for the Holidays fundraiser cabaret, you can go onto our website or our Facebook pages, and you can, again, it's a suggested donation of $15, and you can buy the link. And it's next Friday at 7:30, I believe. And there's going to be some special guests, like Broadway's own James T. Lane, who is just on the One Night Only spectacular on NBC, as well as Demetria Bailey, and I think Christina Koya is also going to be joining our host Aileen for that lovely evening. So please join us. We'd love to see you there. Now, I think I just have to show one more picture for everybody.
Yes!
That was closing.
That was closing.
That was
That's
closing.
why my face is sad, because we were closing.
I don't think that you girls had any fun backstage at all.
No.
It was a terrible, terrible experience.
And you can see the full manifestation of what our faces became.
I think we went all out for the last show.
Yeah.
We did. I think I even had pipe cleaners in my hair.
Yeah, y'all didn't go all out for any other show. Just that one.
Just that one. Now, of course, I have to end on my usual would you rather question, because that is a staple now of these behind the curtains things. Now, there have been many, many variations of Cinderella's story, and each one of them has a different type of shoe. So, would you rather have shoes made out of silk, gold, or glass?
Silk.
Silk. Safer.
Yeah, probably silk. I would smash that glass.
Yeah,
But then you get so dirty.
and like,
I'll take
Well,
dirty.
Emily, with our giant feet, you don't want the gold shoes because they'd just be too heavy.
Carl, do you have a stand?
But I agree, silk.
this is so hard because silk wouldn't hold its shape. It wouldn't be like the smallest pebble would cause a very big problem for the bottom of my feet.
You play the shoemaker.
I have like super sensitive soles though, so I would actually probably go with glass.
Really?
Yeah.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
Why not?
Living on the edge.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have to wear it. That's the thing.
That's true. I mean, if I was wearing glass, it would have to be a modest heel.
Fair.
So
Yeah.
thank you all for coming. I miss you all. It's been too long since we've seen some of your faces. But for everyone watching, it is the holiday season. So if you'd like, please support the arts at paypal.me/storybook396. Please, please, please. You can also find all of our Storytime with Storybook on our YouTube pages as well. There's a lovely one that is in Spanish now. And you can also get personalized character greetings, $25 to Venmo or a PayPal account. I know Emily has done a bunch of them so far. So yes, and of course, come to our Home for the Holidays event next Friday. And we will not probably have another Behind the Curtains until the new year because holidays and everything else
Because all the
going on.
things,
Because
yeah.
of all the things, but we will see you in the new year. And we hope that you all have a happy holidays and a safe and healthy new year. And have a good night, everybody. Love to see you. Bye.
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks, Rachel.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rach.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.